What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name's Kyle. In this video, we're going to go over my best ball cheat sheet, specifically looking at weeks 15, 16, and 17. This is a huge best ball strategy, especially in playoff formats. We're on DraftKings and Underdog. You got to, advance weeks 1 through 14 of the regular season. You got to get into week 15, 16, and 17. And everyone's kind of focusing on week 17. But I had an idea to do a little data study and see what teams have the best schedules for weeks 15, 16, and 17. And I got some interesting results. We're going to hop into a screen share here. I did link the article in the description if you want to follow along and check out what I got here. But here's what I did. I'm going to start and show you guys. So I have a huge projection document. And what I have here is I have all of the offensive stats for each team, and the algorithm that I have spits out a fantasy scoring formula. And for PPR purposes, I took these guys and ranked them from the best fantasy offenses to the least friendly fantasy offenses for PPR. And I came up with a ranking of 1 to 32. So the Chiefs are my number one fantasy offense, coming in at basically 104.89 PPR points per game. At the bottom is the Atlanta Falcons, and that doesn't mean they're a bad offense. It just means they don't throw the ball very much and maybe not the best stacking opportunity. So teams that throw the football are going to be higher on the PPR list, and you want to maybe target those quarterbacks, those wide receivers, sometimes the tight ends, and sometimes the running back if they're a receiving running back. And then let's take a look here. And then I guess from there, what I did is, and I'll show you on the main page too. But what I did is I took, let's go over here. I took those rankings on the far right here. So Kansas City 1, the Chargers 2, and so on, so on. And then I looked at weeks 15, 16, and 17. And I just lined up the schedules, and basically so here's Dallas and Buffalo. I took Dallas's score. Dallas is my number 3 ranked PPR offense. Buffalo is my 4th ranked PPR offense, and it gave me a total of 7 points. And then what I did is I went through the entire schedules for weeks 15, 16, and 17, added up those 2 offensive rankings, and came up with a ranking that basically says you want good offenses to stack. And I guess in week 15 here, it's no better than Buffalo and Dallas. So here is that first article, or the first chart in the article: Dallas and Buffalo, week 15. If you have those guys stacked, there's a good chance you are going to be moving on into week 16. And then Minnesota, Cincinnati, so on. So Houston, Tennessee, you probably don't want to have too many stacks there. That's maybe where I'm looking at the running backs like Derrick Henry, Dameon Pierce. Those guys are solid plays. Same thing with like Bijan or maybe even Miles Sanders down here. So kind of, to me, red kind of means running back. Green kind of means I want those stacks. And as we get to week 16, look at Buffalo. Number 1 again in the number 1 game versus the LA Chargers on Saturday night primetime. So to me, in my head, this is reading as Buffalo has 2 really sweet games, week 15 and 16, against solid opponents, Dallas and the Chargers. Those are probably going to be some high octane, real life fantasy points type situation. So Buffalo, man, if you got some Buffalo stacks, Diggs and Allen and some other guys there, you have a good chance of advancing to week 17. And then week 17, of course, everyone knows Cincinnati Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs. That's probably the best game to be invested in, followed by Detroit and Dallas. I got Miami and Baltimore at number 3, the Chargers and Denver at number 4, and the Jets and the Cleveland Browns coming in at number 5. That's a Thursday night game, though, so maybe that's not the most exciting game as it could have been on a normal day or a different primetime night. But these are really, really helpful for stacking. And again, you kind of want to pay attention to week 17. But what we'll do here is we'll scroll on down. I typed up some junk here. And then here is what I did. I took from this chart, like Dallas here. So Dallas has a 7 ranking in week 15. They have a 9 ranking in week 16. And then guess what? They have another second ranking of 12 here in week 17. So what I did is for each team, I calculated their 3-week total. So Dallas gets a 7, they get a 9, and they get a 12. And I added those all up to see which teams have the best potential offensive outbursts in the playoff weeks. And it came out the Cowboys actually have the best schedule. They're going to get the Buffalo Bills at Miami and Detroit. 2 road games, but these are going to be 3 playoff teams in Buffalo, Miami, Detroit. There's going to be a lot on the line in these 3 games and good potential for either shootouts or even if it's a blowout. If Dallas is the winning team in the blowout, that's great. And if they're the losing team in the blowout, there's still opportunity for some garbage points and things like that. But either way, Dallas was cleared away the #1 team based on these schedules. And again, their Week 15 game ranked #1, their Week 16 game ranked #2, and so did the Detroit game. So I love stacking the Cowboys. I think you can get CeeDee Lamb at the end of round 1. You could even target Tony Pollard, and then it kind of sits for a little bit. But Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, Michael Gallup a little bit later. I like the value on him. And then the tight end, I don't know who's going to be the starting tight end there. It's my money's on Jake Ferguson being the leading receiver tight end. But it's just really interesting. And again, these cheats are super important if when you're doing your best ball drafts. And what I've just been on my phone. I've been leaving this up as I draft on the computer, and I'm just kind of making sure I get access to the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chargers, the Lions, the Bengals, the Vikings, the Chiefs, all these top 10 teams. And if you can start to stack some of these, like, yeah, Buffalo and the Bills uh, rank first and third. Nobody's really stacking them because they don't play in Week 17, but they play in Week 15. So that gives you a pretty good advantage to advance to the next round. And then guess what? Week 16, Dallas gets the Miami Dolphins, and then the Buffalo Bills get the Chargers. Those are 2 fantastic games. And then if you can get them through to Week 17, that's kind of where you also need some Week 17 correlation. So I'm kind of just taking this as a chart to, one, it's really hard to get those Week 17 stacks because everybody's looking at them, and I still want to make that a focus in my drafts. But if I can start to stack some of these top 10 units of offense, eventually that stuff will kind of even out, and it's really helpful when multiple teams play each other. So let's see. So Detroit's going to get Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas. If I can somehow get Dallas and Detroit and maybe Buffalo stacked, and you kind of wrinkle them in there, so you got some Week 15 stacks, some Week 17 stacks, things like that. That's kind of all that this chart is making me think and doing. And as I use it more, I'm probably going to identify some of those super stacks where all 15, 16, and 17 weeks correlate in some way, where I have a little nice stack in each week that helps me get to where I'm going. So yeah, you guys can go check out the link in the description. I mean, download these to your phone, to your computer, whatever. And then down here, I just kind of have the master sheet where it's got your Week 15, 16, and 17 schedules. You can see the rankings that I have used in there. And then you can see the final scores here. And again, top team, this just, even though the Falcons are dead last, does not mean I hate the Falcons. It means Bijan is going to run the ball a lot. The passing weapons, Drake London and Kyle Pitts, are fine. You don't necessarily need to stack them with Desmond Ridder, though, because the passing volume is not going to be there. I think those guys can be winners at their ADP, but I don't think it's as important to stack Falcons, Titans, Texans, Bears, Panthers, Colts, these guys down here. I think it's way more important to consider this top 10, top 15 for stacks. So that's kind of all I had for you guys. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I had fun working on this. And again, I'm just trying to find a little bit different edge here. Everyone's looking at Week 17, and I was just curious about Week 15 and 16 because, hey, in order to get to Week 17, you have to get by those 2 weeks. So I think it's giving us a little bit of an edge there to at least progress to Week 17. And hey, if you got some stacks in that Week 17 week, look out. But anyways, subscribe if you are new. That helps me greatly. We're over 700 subscribers now, so we're moving and grooving. And hey, check out the free 2023 playbook. I have all my projections, my rankings, projections by team. There's so much stuff on here, guys, and it's free. It's absolutely free this year. So I just wanted to share it with everybody. And everyone's charging money for draft kits and things like that nowadays, where I don't really want to be competitive with that. So check it out. It's free. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your time. We'll do some more live drafts in a little bit later tonight. But yeah, thank you guys for your time, and we'll see you in a future video. Happy stacking. Peace.